Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to the latest episode of River City 93. I'm your host, as always, Elliot Barr, is joining me as a man that loves a Ethan Bryant banger, but at the same time hates a set piece own goal. It's Mr. Matt Myers. How are you doing, bud?
I'm doing good. Doing good. Look, out, look up. I don't see nothing. We're still at the top of the table. We
Yeah.
just looking down at all the little people below us.
And that, you know what? Matter of fact, let's talk about that point first. It's weird because I shouldn't say weird, but there's two different conversations going on within the Red Army and the supporters groups right now. On one hand, you have a group of people who are like looking at every possible scenario to figure out like where we're going to land at, how our other team's doing, and then on the other hand, you're like, we're in. It doesn't really matter. We're going to be the one seed. We're good.
So to decode this is the LA perspective versus my perspective on things.
Yeah, right. Because man,
You're probably still over there freaking out that we're not going to make the playoffs because we're not officially clinched yet.
No. I'm not worried about the playoffs. I'm thinking about like, all right, seeding, like where are we going to land at seeding wise? Because I don't want to crack the bet on this.
That's what do you believe in this team?
Yes, I believe in this team.
You don't got a thing to worry about.
I believe in every one of my teams. I just been burned too much as a fan. It's just like.
Well, let's cycle back to this, later on in the conversation. But the math is pretty solidly in our favor right now.
It is, and that's the good thing. Even with my bad, the 1-1 result of last night's game, every other result in yesterday's game went in our favor more or less. Also, why am I coughing so much? Another result. Also, another thing that was funny. My bad, I lost my train of thought. That was funny was every game had a red card in it, which is pretty funny. Every game had a red. I mean, come on, that's kind of hilarious. Do you think about it? Like every game ended up with a red card in it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just tired of the whole discourse of, there's bad refereeing because there's cards. Maybe the players should, get under control a little bit better.
I don't
not commit all dumbass fouls constantly.
Like some of these players have horrible fouls and they actually get carded. I know what you're talking about, but if the player gets the foul, the player gets the foul. It is what it is. But yeah, I mean, I would ask you this, Matt, before we get started. How are you feeling after yesterday's game? The 1-1 draw, how everything kind of laid out. How are you feeling at this point?
So in the very moment after the game, it feels a little bit like 2 points lost right there because I thought the guys, for the most part, played pretty well. Throughout most of the second half, it felt like the game was pretty well under control, except for that one moment of everything. And maybe I've just been conditioned well by how this team finishes down the stretch, but I had a lot of confidence that they were going to find a goal late and take all 3 points. So stung a little bit in the moment, but again, the way the other results ended up going, the team came out the other side of this week with a net positive in the standings, overall. And I mean, even just staying level at this point is fine, for the kicker's purpose because we're ahead of everybody. So even getting, an incremental boost, on a couple teams is a win.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's very true. And I mean, I think that is something, if you want to look at the positive of this game, like this team, even though when it was 1-1 at the 70th minute, the team was still creating, still making chances. It wasn't as if nothing else was happening under that 20 minutes. One thing that stuck out to me in this game was the amount of crosses that we had. but also the amount of crosses we had that didn't find the feet of people at the back post. I can think of like 3 crosses that Bolaños had, another one that Richie had, and that kind of seemed like the gameplay going in, like was to get behind their back line, get those crosses in. That's how the Ethan Bryant chance happened. Matter of fact, Ethan Bryant had another chance in the second half. I can't remember now if it was before. I know it was before Fago scored, but he had one that he kind of hit kind of light into the goalkeeper's path.
Yeah, and this isn't new. Like anybody who's getting ready to play Richmond this year should know that a lot of the game plan is get it wide and more often not get it wide on the left and get that cross in for Emmy or for a trailer to be able to hopefully tap in, if not hit in with a little bit more force. And especially in the first half, those opportunities were coming. They were coming pretty regularly, whether it was Bolaños, whether it was Stu, whether it was Simon. You're getting up and behind, but some of the times crosses just were sticking a little too close to the keeper. There were a few that nobody was really on the trailing run, so it ended up going behind everybody. So in the macro sense, yeah, it was good that they were able to create those chances, but like you were saying, nothing really connected, and really not a lot of danger came out of those crosses. Like I think Ethan's goal a little bit different than what we're talking about here in terms of setting up the plays, but overall, I mean, again, if you tell us that hey, you're going to get 5, 6 good looks from the crosses on the like clean crosses off the left wing, you're probably going to feel pretty good about those odds.
Yeah, I think another thing too that kind of had me a little bit cause for concern was some of our set pieces. Obviously, the goal that we let up came off of a set piece, but it just felt like sometimes like the ball just got stuck in the 18-yard box, and it took us a while to kind of get it cleared out and out the box again. Did you kind of feel the same thing?
I mean, maybe a little bit. Like it'll ping around the box sometimes. I don't really care about that. To be honest, I think, and I'm sure we'll probably come into this a little bit more. But what we talked about this last show as well about where the goals coming from, and I know you talked to Darren after the game about that, how the goals keep coming from the same situations over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked to him about it. By the way, fans, if you are interested in watching those post-game interviews, you can do so if you follow us on Instagram or on Facebook. You can watch those there. But Darren mentioned about how there was kind of like a net positive at the start of the year. And now it's kind of been kind of neutral, leaning a little bit towards the negative. But he said something that he takes responsibility for and that they're going to work very hard on in practice. So I imagine the game for Tormenta coming out that they're going to be drilled really hard on set pieces and making sure that that clearance is there, making sure they're settled there. But I think the guy we haven't talked about yet, but the guy we probably need to talk a lot about in this match is Ethan Bryant and the way how he looked in the midfield. Like he pretty much controlled this entire game for the most part for the kicker's part.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't tell. He actually cut his hair a little bit. It looked like it was a little bit shorter, so maybe he's got like a reverse, Samson effect going on. Here, I mean, don't get me wrong, he still had some good flow going, but I felt like it was maybe trimmed down a little bit. So if that's the case, let's get him to the barber, each Saturday morning, and get him touched up. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, everything seemed to be going through him, through most of the game, and really over the last few weeks, I feel like he's grown a lot more comfortable, a lot more confident with kind of dictating play through the middle. Like he's always been somebody who's been able to kind of move the ball around a little bit, but I think we're seeing him getting a lot more comfortable with being the guy who will drop back and help to progress the ball a little bit more, and be able to be a little bit more proactive with what he does on the ball too, and being able to be that outlet for whether it's the wing backs as they're pushing forward and looking for a 1-2 or looking to be able to just play the ball inside, and he's able to make that choice of getting it back to them, or what he does really well is receiving the ball and turning simultaneously to start to switch the field. Really really good showing, capped off by the goal.
Yeah, no, and I think this is a great way for us to kind of segue into that goal. Um, Matt, you also do a beautiful job of breaking down goals, so I'll lend it over to you, buddy, so you can break down this goal for us.
Yeah, so surprise, surprise, the goal comes from a lot of connected play down the left flank. Because it's 2022 and it's the Richmond Kickers. That's what this team does, quite a bit. So I'll be honest, I don't remember who's connecting at the very beginning of the play. It had to have been some combination of Simon, Ethan, and Bolaños, if I remember correctly. But they're around midfield, and a couple quick triangle passes together, and Bolaños is released going down the left flank. We've seen the story before. We'll see it again. But this time, as he's getting ready to approach the 18, he finds Ethan with a nice square ball. He picks it up 20-ish yards from goal, right near the top of the D. Nobody's within a couple yards of him, so he does the logical thing, looks up, looks at the goal, and just pings it straight into the upper right 90.
Yeah.
Keeper didn't even move. Knew he didn't have a chance on it, and as simple as that. I mean, you get that open look. As a professional, you should probably be expected to, at a minimum, get that on target, and he certainly did.
Yeah, no. I think the thing that made this goal even more beautiful was the fact that like the ball got stuck in the net. You know how sometimes like you hit a ball so hard, like it just kind of just rattles in the net for a little while. Made it go really nice. But I think the key thing on this is a play that Richmond has been setting up their entire game. Like you could tell, like they made an intended effort of having that somebody like go into the box late, make that late run where the cross is coming in, and they kept trying it over and over again. Like we said, not all of them were connecting, but you could tell this is something that the kickers saw was the deficiency in Fuego's game, and they were trying to exploit it.
Yeah, and I think it's the taking that early cross right
Yeah.
there. I mean, I don't even feel right calling it a cross. It was literally just a straight up pass. At that point, but Bolaños has established himself so much that he's a guy who is either going to take you on or take you to the end line, that it opens up that space to be able to play that square ball. Then because if you're a defender, why are you expecting that
Yeah.
right at
Yeah,
that
no, that's
moment?
true. That's true. And also on this play, which we probably talked about a bunch, is now Bolaños set the league record for most assists in the USL League One season. After the game, he didn't even realize that he said it. He thought like it was still 13. And we told him, like, no, that's the club record. So he still has the club record left to break, but he's broken Arturo Rodriguez's record of most assists in a club season in a league season, which is impressive, man. And I think this is the game that gives him MVP. I think with that record.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think this game necessarily changes anything. I think if you thought he was MVP before, you probably still do. If you thought it was Emmy before, you probably still do. I think it was somebody else. I don't know what else happened. What could have possibly been seen this week that would support anybody else. Really rising up the ranks, but whatever. But I can see how he would be confused by that announcement. Given that you would think the team record would be the lower one than the league record, but since the leagues have changed so many times over the years, I get it.
Yeah. So definitely get it that standpoint. But kudos to him. He did well. Matt, let's talk about this, like how Fuego kind of attacks this game. Because I know I get joked on now because I set up in the press box and watch the game because I am superstitious and know that if I sit in section O during the start of the game, we won't win, which has been proven right so far this year.
How'd Saturday go for you then?
We got a draw. We haven't lost what I said in the press box.
Yeah, you said won't win though.
Okay, still, we haven't lost. Maybe I'll come down to section O for the Lions game, and that'd be the game.
Look, we understand. You're Mr. Big Time now.
I am not Mr. Big Time. Please do not believe this, man. I am a regular human being. I just happen to have press credentials.
So do I.
Right. But no, like sitting up top, you can see how Fuego was kind of defending in like a 4-4-2, and it seemed like Fuego. I don't know, man. Help me out here. It seemed like Fuego didn't know what they wanted to do, and it kind of gave Richmond license to dictate a lot of the stuff up until the goal in the 70th minute. But it just seems as if Fuego didn't want to press us, and they were trying to be more possession dominant. I felt like that's right.
Maybe. I mean, I would think that that was a little bit intentional on their behalf,
Yeah,
to a certain degree, because I'm just pulling up the stats real fast to make sure I'm remembering this correctly. But yeah, I mean, the kickers had more possession than Fuego did. That never happens for the team, and I got to think that Fuego's plan was give them the ball, so that way we can be organized and they can't hit us on a counter, because that's where this team kills everybody all the time, is being able to hit those kind of lightning quick counters up the flanks, driving ahead that way. And if you're able to keep 9-10 behind the ball and you keep organized, kind of cut that out a little bit.
Yeah, true.
So I could see that being a little more intentional on their behalf to come in here and say, all right, well, let's try to keep organized. Let's try to not get ourselves stretched, get ourselves in trouble in some way, and see where the game takes us.
The back line, how do you feel like they did with Cheney, Bejev, and Cerritos? How do you feel like they handled them? That three. I feel like they did a decent job.
Yeah, pretty well overall. Like, I can't think of too many like real challenging saves that Akira had to make. Like, there was one in the second half that he was able to save and parry it all the way out for the throw in.
Yeah.
But
I think that was even that was in his silhouette. He was right close. It's not like he had to jump across the box to get there.
Right.
The only one that seemed kind of concerning is I can't remember if it was a corner or free kick for us, but I think it's when Cheney kind of broke away from Jalen, and Jalen had to foul him there near the top of the box. That's the only one that kind of gave me a little bit of concern, just because of you can see the speed difference. That's all.
Oh yeah, a little bit, but this team's always going to give up some shots.
Yeah,
we've talked about that endlessly throughout the year, so I don't think we need to get back into that conversation again at all. But I thought overall they did pretty well. They gave up shots. Most of them were off target or got blocked early on, and again the high danger elements weren't really there all that much.
That's what I'm saying. It didn't feel like. I mean, outside of the goal that was given up, and I keep saying it because it was an own goal, Fuego didn't threaten us as much. It didn't feel as if, like, games that we played against them in the past, it didn't feel as if, like, we were under the gun from them. Comparatively speaking, between this game and the Chattanooga game, where Chattanooga game, we were under the gun there, But this game didn't feel as if we were really there,
I mean, part of it, back at home, the team. I mean, most teams are, more comfortable at home. You're able to game plan around the dimensions and around the surface that So I think that part of that goes into it. They cut down on the fouls right outside the box this game. That was nice.
This is good.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think, the only other thing to really, look at moving forward is, defending these, crosses off of corners or off of free kicks that have been the bane of all of our existence as fans for the last month or so.
Right. Yeah, listen, I mean, let's go ahead. Let's talk about the corner that happened. I'm not going to lie. Once again, I was watching this in the press box, and there was a delayed reaction everywhere because we couldn't figure out if it was a foul. Because at first, when it first happened, I thought there was a foul because I saw Kira reach back across goal to try to save it. Didn't know it was a foul, didn't know it was a hand and whatnot. What did you see, Matt? Did someone get a touch to it, or was it just a free header?
I mean, somebody clearly got a touch. I couldn't tell you who touched it because even the video replay from ESPN Plus, you can't really tell what goes on there. But the ball definitely dribbled across the line. Like, the ball was a good 3 yards inside the goal by the time Akira was trying to shovel it out.
Yeah.
So no question in my mind that it was a legit goal. It was just another situation where somebody's not getting that first head to the ball, and we're not cleaning things up quick enough. And at that point, when the ball's within 6 yards of goal, if somebody gets not hand on it, anything but a hand on it, you basically just have to hope that it hits Akira, because it's too close for him to have a realistic chance of saving it otherwise.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, even the my bad. When Nathan talked to, I think he was asking the referees, like I talked to him after game, the refs didn't even know who got a hit because I think they asked the refs, they was kind of just like, So I think he got marked as an own goal by Jalen, but I've also heard that Cerrito scored it, so who knows?
Yeah, it was listed as Cerritos at first in real time. Looks like it's been switched over to a Jalen own goal, which I think both he and Cerritos are probably not happy with.
No. Which is weird because now this becomes Jalen's second own goal for the year. So
whatever.
That even on goals this year.
Whatever.
Even though I still love Jalen, still love him. There's one thing we do need to talk about. Well, before we get to that, Matt, let's have a kind of conversation around set pieces. What can the kickers do differently, or is it just kind of like a thing of if you're going to give them a goal, is probably going to come from a set piece. You'd rather it be from a set piece than open play and get it cut up.
I don't think so, because I think your set pieces, you should be able to be more organized and be able to be better structured, right? Because you can plan for how you want to defend it, a set piece. During the game, things move a lot more organically, and you can. There's a lot less predictability. There, like you might have a general idea of what shapes will look like, but you don't know for sure. Whereas on a corner, you can decide, hey, I want to play straight up man, or I want to play zone, or I want to do some kind of a hybrid system. I want to have this certain guy attacking, free to attack the ball, and or I want a guy on the post or not on the post. There's a lot of different strategies you can be able to use. I think clearly whatever's being run right now has enough holes in it that something needs to be tweaked, something needs to be fixed. I'm not going to pretend like I know enough to be able to diagnose the exact problem, because I'm sure if it was that simple, Darren would have probably seen it long ago himself and fixed it already. But yeah.
You think it's just? I know you say you didn't want to diagnose, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Like, do you think it's just a simple issue of we're just getting there first to winning some of these, or do you think we're just being not being physical enough?
It could be a little bit of both. Like, you think back to the goal Omaha scored on that header. That was Skiers just beating Owain to the spot.
Yeah.
On it. I think we've seen something like that a couple different times. Like this one, is just the ball getting thrown into the muck, and I don't know. Nobody, got a strong enough hand or strong enough not hand. I guess hand if it's a cure, or head or whatever, to it to be able to get it at least a little further out from danger, right then. Kind of like the same sort of thing we saw with the second Chattanooga goal, last week. Somebody wasn't able to get up and win the header at the far post, and then nobody was right there with Mail in the middle, and he had a couple of cracks at it before it finally went in.
Yeah. I'm not trying to have like selective memory. I'm really trying to remember. For set pieces, Akira doesn't come off his line as much. Like he doesn't.
Well, I mean, he's like 5'10", and he's got a bunch of trees in front of him.
But do you think that might be something that if Akira did come off his line, do you think that might change, or that's just a nuisance point?
I just don't think that's who he is as a keeper, right?
Okay.
Like if we had a 6'4" keeper, like if it's Palmquist or somebody in there, maybe he does that instead because it plays to his strengths a little bit more, and he can be able to extend up and more easily pick the ball off of somebody's head. I don't know if that's an Akira choice, or if that's a Darren choice of wanting him to stay home, but I think that's something to think about and consider. Like most times when you see shorter keepers, you're not seeing them all the time go in among the trees and try to pick something out because statistically probably a little less likely they're going to grab it. Whereas when you have like a big old massive keeper like Courtois or somebody, yeah, it's easy for them to just go and snatch everything out of the air.
Yeah, that's true, and that's very true. So finishing at that point, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about our left back that got a little nicked up, Stu Ritchie. Talked to Derek after the game. I asked him what's Stu's health. Pretty much he said it was a lower leg injury, but he should be fine in 1 to 2 days. So that sounds positive. My guess is it looked like he was holding his thigh or leg. I'm going with rolled ankle. It just looked like a kind of like freak accident that kind of just happened.
Yeah, I mean that's much better diagnosis than you would initially think when you see a guy go down non-contact in the middle of the field. Like you're thinking the worst at that point.
I'm not gonna lie. My first initial fear was like, "Oh, that's his Achilles," because it just the way how he went and no one really like tackled him or anything. I was like, "Oh, that doesn't look good."
Yeah, he blew his knee or something.
Yeah.
So hopefully he's okay. I mean, it's hard to say anything else about that right now because he played 9 minutes.
Yeah, but I mean, hey, our guy came in. Well, they call him Simone Finch. Simon Finch came on and he looked really well.
Yeah, he played really well. He was able to fill a lot of that role of getting up the channel, supporting Bolaños on overlaps. He got in a couple times for crosses himself. I mean, he's not the same attacking player that Stu is. I don't think there's a reason to expect that, but he more than held his own. And I mean, quite frankly, I would say let's play him on Saturday against Tormenta. Not take any unnecessary risks with Stu right now. Give him a week to really get back and recover fully. Because there's that little bit of cushion to work with in the standings right now, and Stu or Cole have both shown that they can be able to fill that role pretty well.
Ooh, that's a person I haven't seen in a while. It's Chris Cole. I haven't seen him in a while. I think I agree with you there. I think playing Simon against Tormenta is you don't lose anything with it. I think the team might should do a little bit better against Tormenta just because we know how Tormenta is. They're kind of relying on one big thing, that's Katez Sterling. He hasn't really showed up against us, but we don't want him to. I think if Richmond can, have a defensive fullback back there, I don't think it hurts anything. And he looked well going up there and helping out in the attack.
Yeah, I mean, Stu played well against Tormenta, last time they were up here. So all things being equal, yeah, I'd prefer him being in there. But like I said, why run the risk right now?
Especially at this point in the season, I think as days go, I think you want to avoid kind of like the big injury or the nagging injury. So if you can get Stu a rest, get him ready for, I guess, Fuego at that point, or really against Greenville, I think that'd be okay. I think that'd be good to go.
Yeah, there are bigger prizes in mind than just the game on Saturday.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, let's go ahead. Let's talk about that game on Saturday. We got Tormenta coming up. Tormenta all the while. Did he win on Saturday? I think they
won.
Yeah. 1-0. Oh yeah, they beat Fort Madison, who right now is on the verge of missing the playoffs.
They're dead.
Yeah.
We can go ahead and hold a funeral segment for him right now if you want.
Okay, let me ask you this, Matt. Would you rather that game against Ford to be nothing, or would you want the possibility of being the team that knocks them out of the playoffs officially?
Well, I want the game to mean nothing because that would mean that we won on Saturday and the other results went right. So we're already locked up. They're already dead in the water. And we can just go in there and just be like, look, we don't even care about playing you right now. This game is completely meaningless to us in every way. You are nothings in this league. Yeah. I also want to just throw a little reminder out here. I know you weren't the one who put it out there, but your friends over there in Walking 90. You remember a couple months back when you all were talking about like your panic meters for different teams?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You remember who they declared safe?
4. Oh, they did from the Addison.
Good call, guys.
Oh man, I gotta go back and listen to that episode.
They were declared safe. The kickers were not declared safe.
And look at it now.
Omaha is not declared safe. Yeah.
Look how the tables have turned. Yeah, let's look at Tormenta. We know how Tormenta's going to line up. Pretty much, we know who the starting goalkeeper is going to be for them because Yara has seemed to have lost his starting job there. We know it's going to be Kachana Sterling, other guys. How does Richmond not only get the maximum number of points in this game, but how are you expecting them to line up?
I mean, the lineup's going to be exactly what the only questions are: does he play Stu or not, and then who gets the nod at the right wing?
Yeah,
I feel like Ben Bentley more often than not lately, which is fine. But sometimes we see EVD get the nod.
Yeah, I think it's really just comes down to what kind of game Darren wants to play. I think at this point now, would you agree with me that Gordon is a super sub at this point?
It certainly looks that way, doesn't? I mean, evidence keeps pointing in that direction that he's Darren's first wing sub each game, no matter what. Depending on who needs.
He's more effective in like those 30-minute spurts than playing a full 90.
Yeah, I think he's probably fully capable of going the full 90. But yeah,
I don't know. He just looks more effective.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think you probably got 3 positions you could probably put up for grabs. That's the center back besides Jalen, left back, and right wing. That's really it. Outside of that, every position is kind of.
I'm going to only say 2 because I'm pretty confident at this point that Dakota is Darren's preferred choice next to Jalen.
You think so? You think Dakota got it locked up over Arnie?
What was the last time we really saw any deviation from that? One game out of the last 10 or 11. Like ever since Arnie got that red card out at Fuego, he's mostly been a reserve. I think he's had 1 start since then.
Let's see. Tormenta, he started. I'm just going back to the last 3. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, you're kind of pretty much right. Let's see. The game before. Yeah, you're pretty much dead on. You're right. Well, he also started the Greenville match. No, the 2-2 draw in Fuego. So he has 2 in the last 5 games. I mean, his last 6. But outside of that, it's been Dakota.
Yeah, so I think they pair, their skill sets pair a little bit more ideally to how you want things to go, because I think we were talking at the beginning of the year, we had the kind of the Twin Towers back there, but Dakota is somebody who's probably a little bit more of a ball possession, ball advancer kind of player. And it's not like he's tiny, either. He's still a solid 6'1", 6'2", something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, he's a solidly built center back.
Yeah. Just looking next to the other 2, he looks tiny.
Right. With that partnership, Dakota and Jalen, what do you think is a good, what makes him such a good pair? Because a lot of the times when we see with Jalen, I think Jalen's the ball progression out of the center back group, because to me, he's always seemed the one that launches that diagonal ball to Bolaños, whereas Dakota is kind of more of the sweeper.
I would look at it as more Dakota's more the guy you're going to see dribbling the ball forward, and being the guy probably a little more comfortable playing it out of tight spots.
Okay.
So I think you're going to see him doing a lot more of the connecting with the midfielders, whereas Jalen loves the long diagonal, and I think that's probably instructions from the coaching staff a lot of times.
It has to be.
Yeah, there's no way he does it that often otherwise.
Like we automatically know, like when Jalen gets at a certain point, all right, it's a long diagonal. We know.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of the key thing. They can both distribute the ball well, but I think they do it in slightly different ways and with different styles that adds a little bit of diversity to how the team can play.
Right. So yeah, Tormenta game. What are your thoughts for this game? How do you think this game is going to play out for us?
I think you got to look out for a couple key things. So they have a lot of smaller but really quick guys. You got Kingsford, you got Kele, you got who else?
If I'm mistaken, Bill Hart is there, right?
Bill Hart.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily put him on the same tier of speed and quickness as those other two guys, but they like to move the ball around. They like to be able to go one-on-one quite a bit. So I think that's something that our guys have to kind of look out for, especially Simon or whomever is at left back this week, because it'll be a different challenge. I think, but then beyond that, they got their big boys in the back. They got Phelps. They got Dingler. So aerial balls might not work so well, but we really don't do that much.
No.
That's where it's going to be Emmy being able to find the pockets of space and be able to use his quickness to find those individual moments, but letting the guys blaze down the wing and try to do their thing that way.
Yeah, I think that's going to be key. I think another matchup that's going to be a good thing to keep an eye on is how does Terzaghi deal with their center back duo, because we know how Tormenta is. They're going to be a very physical team, and they're going to be looking to pretty much body Terzaghi out of the game. Is there anything Derek can do to try to counteract that?
I don't think you need to worry about that. Like, Emmy's not a guy who's going to win physical battles most of the time. That's just not his game. He's more of a guy who is going to work to drag guys in and out of position, and then you kind of hit them with that one quick step to get in front of them and flick the ball passing into the goal, or be able to, what he might be able to try to do is pull them back into the midfield a little bit more, because we know he's capable of doing that, dropping, receiving the ball to either outlet it to a wing or to be able to eat a foul essentially. And that might help to open up some space there. So that's how I think he affects the game outside of the goals, obvious comment. But I think that's where he can kind of be of good use.
Yeah, I do. I think Darren. I think one way Darren might be able to look to counteract it is, like you said, get Terzaghi to do what he does best. And that is to manipulate space, but to also kind of dart in and out in between the center backs, because we know Phelps. We know what Phelps wants to do with Terzaghi. He wants to get his body real close to him and use his physicality to try to beat wear down Terzaghi. And I think Terzaghi can win this battle if he just, abuses the space around him and open up space for others like Bentley or EVD or Vinyals to come into an attack. So,
yeah, it doesn't have to be the most complicated process of all time. I mean, I think this team has shown that, hey, they have a system that they can be able to put forth. They can be able to utilize, and I mean, they've put 5 past Tormenta so far this year. So they're doing something right so far.
Doing something right. They are. Most definitely are. We're hoping and looking forward to another Kickers win. A win would most definitely – playoffs are locked. We're 99.9% locked in for playoffs. We don't have to have that conversation anymore. But as we look at it now, I think the next task is bye. We get the bye and get the 1 seed. So – Matt, you are the math expertise. How are we looking to get that 1 seed locked up, given that if we win against Tormenta?
Sure. So right now, all the teams that matter to us, I'm not going to bother with who's on the cut line for making the playoffs or not, because there's irrelevant into this discussion right now. But as of right now, the Kickers are 5 points up on Greenville and Omaha, 6 points up on Tormenta, 7 points up on Charlotte, and 9 on Chattanooga. So all the teams play the same amount. All the teams have 3 left. So any point gained, any point lost, by Chattanooga, they're out. That shouldn't be an issue at all. So, that takes care of the 6 seed. For Charlotte, they can get 9 more points. They can get to 48. So any 1 win for the Kickers will take care of it. Any loss by Charlotte or even a draw by Charlotte will get them maxed out at 46, which is where we're at now, and we're 19 goals ahead of them at this point. I don't think that's going to get turned, by any means. So really, Charlotte has to win out and hope the Kickers don't pick up 2 draws.
All right.
Those two things happen. The home game is assured. In terms of Tormenta, 6 points up on them right now. So if the Kickers beat Tormenta, they can't finish behind Tormenta. If they draw them, it'll be 6 points up with 2 games to go with an 18-goal lead. Basically done at that point. To lock up over Tormenta, and then to kind of go for that bye, go for that 1 seed. Again, Greenville and Omaha can max out at 50. The Kickers are at 46 right now. The Kickers are going to have, again, the tiebreaker unless Greenville just absolutely hammers us on the last day of the season, which I don't think we really need to worry about.
No.
So if the Kickers can pick up 4 points in the last 3 games, doesn't matter what happens anywhere else. Right?
I agree.
Here's a really fun scenario for us. If the Kickers win on Saturday, they'll give them 49 points. If Greenville, who plays Tucson, and Omaha, who plays North Carolina, don't win, their max will be 47 or 48, depending on what they do. So conceivably, by 9:30 on Saturday night, Kickers could win the league if everything breaks right.
There you go. Well, that's how everything breaks down. It works out for us to win the league, and kind of pretty much works out perfectly. That would be great if we could win the league by then. I will be in Charlotte, definitely celebrating that, and I will have an extra beer if we can get that done and dusted.
I will be in Georgia at the game.
Are you going to be? Oh yeah, the stadium opening. That's going to be kind of fun. What do you think they're going to do for it?
Lose?
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's still a tournament home game. That's what they do at home.
Yeah, that is so weird, man. That team, for the team that has like the best road record in USL League One, their home record is so abysmal.
Right. I mean, really, we're doing them a favor if we take points off them because that'll help them to not have a playoff home game.
Yeah. We kind of talked about it before the show started, but there is a possibility of which a team on 40 points could miss out on the playoffs, which is hilarious. It's so sense.
Not a problem I'm caring about right now.
No. Look, I think our main focus is get as many points as we can. If I'm not mistaken, let's see, we're on 49.
We can get to 55.
No. It said the points record. We can, but it won't be, in the same realm with Junior Omaha did last year on 51 points in 28 games because we would have to play 2 games more. But I don't care about that.
Nope.
I want to hurry up and get stuff done, clinched, so we can rest up and be chilling and cruising these last 2.
Question for you.
Yeah, what's up?
Who would be your preferred playoff opposition?
It's
like, and like, how would you want the playoff brackets to be looking if you got to draw them up yourself?
If I had to draw them up myself,
yeah. So obviously, Kickers 1 seed. That goes without saying.
Yeah. If you had to ask me right now,
now what do you think will happen? So what do you want to happen?
Okay. So 60, I'll put NOCO. 5 Charlotte, 4 Tormenta. 3 Greenville, 4 Union, us 1. I think we'll end up with Charlotte in the semifinals. We'll beat them, and I think in the final we'll play. I think we'll play NoCo. No, my fault. I think we'll play Greenville in the final.
Okay.
I think we'll play Greenville in the final.
All right.
What about you? What you think?
So it's tough.
Yeah, it's tough when you look at it. Because I'm thinking on Chattanooga missing out.
Yeah, I mean, there's that side of it, but then I'm also trying to think about who do I even want to get that second seed. Like, if there's a way to finesse it, that Tormenta gets the 2 seed, I wouldn't mind that necessarily. Because
I wouldn't either.
not really scared. Also, it would be really funny to see Greenville and Omaha both have to play in the quarters,
which would be messy. Hey, look, there's a way. I'm telling you, man.
They can play there's still a way they can play on the road.
Yeah,
like it's not unreasonable to think that.
I think if I'm not wrong, there's still a possibility of Greenville or Union Omaha dropping down to 6.
Oh, definitely. They're only 4 points ahead of Chattanooga right now.
Yeah. So you still got all these possibilities they can play out.
Yeah, I think I would want to see Charlotte in the semifinals. So, I guess the easiest way to guarantee that is having the 6th seed and then, upset whoever finishes 3rd.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel probably most confident, playing them right now. And then, bring Tormenta back up here, for the final. I'd be cool with that. I know they're better on the road, but I mean, I can't help but to look back a couple of weeks ago and took care of them fairly handily at home.
Yeah. It kind of felt like a game where near the end, it's definitely that last goal that Bologna scored. They kind of just gave in. Kind of just felt like they kind of just threw it all in.
So,
all right. Well, fans, look, if you got any prediction how you think the playoffs are going to finish and lay out, let us know. Hit us up on Twitter at River City 93. Let us know.
Got another question for you.
Oh, another one. Okay. Let me get ready.
This one's not as complex, I promise.
All right.
Do you think the Kickers can once again top their 5,300 attendance from Saturday for the home finale against Greenville?
Yes. I think they can.
Do you think they will? Maybe that's better.
I think they will. I think we will see a 6,000 crowd for the final.
Okay.
I think we will hit 6K for the final. If we get to the final, I'm fine with saying we're not losing. We hit 6K.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I mean, like the crowd was great on Saturday. Like you could hear even from the corner where we sit, fans near the end of the game really getting up and excited. Those last corner kicks, it looked like the teams were chasing the winner at the very end, and just the aesthetics of it when the stands fill in. I'm not going to say they're packed or anything, but as they fill in around the corner over towards each of the ad banners that are tied off on some of the bleachers, it just makes the stadium look so cool.
It does, man. Our stadium is one of the most unique stadiums in USL because everyone sits on one side. So it's like when you're setting up and you look at it, it's like I'm not gonna lie to you, it looks like a full sea of red, and it just there was one point I guess where the stadium started doing the wave, which was kind of funny.
Yeah, I have mixed thoughts there, because personally I hate the wave, but when our very own Luke Pavone comes over and is like, "Hey, can you guys try to start the wave?" It's like, oh, all right, you have terrible taste right now, Luke, but fine.
But yeah, I mean, but even then, like that was the point where I looked and I was like, "Holy cow!" Like this stadium is packed tonight because you can see everyone just stand up. And granted, the stadiums would be even more packed if you take the people that were on the concourse and put them in the stands. Like the stadium would be even more full by then. But yeah, man, it's a great thing when you see City Stadium packed to the brim like that, and especially see Section O packed the way how it was. And before we finish, I keep forgetting to say this. Shout out to our man Doug Doobie. He made his return to City Stadium. For those who didn't know, Doug had a stroke in the middle of the summer, so it was great to see him out there in good spirits, man. It was good to see him out there.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, actually, you think the Kickers can crack 53K again? I mean, not 53K.
53K, no.
5,300.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say if they reach the final, let's shoot bigger. Let's shoot for like a 7K or something like that.
Look, it might happen, man. It might happen, especially if we play someone regional like a Greenville.
Yeah,
like you might. It might. Whew, we're gonna set the attendance record for sure for that. Yeah, man. You just think about it, like.
I mean, I guess I have to say something on that because I get the league enough crap all the time about coming up with fake fake records for everything because disregarding the past. That's not the attendance record. It's the attendance record in the League One era.
Yeah,
it's not the attendance record.
No, it's the League One era. But it would be cool to see that stadium packed out like that, man. It would be great. It's great. So credit to the front office and whatever they've been doing. It's been amazing. Also credit to the team because they've been doing it. Before we wrap up, man, anything else for you before we wrap up?
No, I'm kind of on the last topic. One regular season home game left. There's going to be another one after that, but yeah, come on out, for what should be a celebration. Bring your friends, bring not your friends, to the game, and everybody will have a good time, make new friends, and keep showing out what Richmond can do. They'll take care of the on the field part. We'll take care of the off the field part.
Right. I need everyone to invite 10 people. Let's make it happen. By the way, also shout out to Matt again. Matt has written another awesome article on Hugh Roberts. I know I shouted out last time, but I'm gonna shout out again. Make sure you check that out, rivercity93.com. Check out this man Grace work because he's writing some excellent articles. And I know I've been promising an article on Zaka. It's coming. It's not on my part. I've submitted the questions. Just waiting for them to get back so you guys can read that wonderful article.
You're saying this is Zaka's fault?
Yeah. Well, he's patrolling the midfield, so he got to take care of that first. But yeah. With that being said, y'all, we will holler at y'all next week. As always, you can follow the show on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube at RiverCity93. For Matt, my name is Yogi. We will holler at you guys next week. Be safe and be easy. Oh, Lord, I forgot to play the video.